Hello, this is AstroKrys from CodaQueenAstrology, and this video is for the new moon eclipse, solar eclipse we're having in Taurus on April 30th, 2022 at 1:41 p.m. That's PST time. This is a quick video explaining what the solar eclipse will bring, the aspects that it's making, and I'm also going to be talking about the zodiac signs in a live with Kathy. So make sure you check that out. So right here, I'm only going to be talking about the eclipse energy itself and the aspects that the chart is making. So I'll get started. Now, the moon and the sun are at 10 degrees in Taurus, and they are conjuncting a Uranus at 14 degrees. Now, Uranus is a new territory. Uranus has not been on this degree. So bringing this energy of excitement, change, unpredictability, evolution, that's really what Uranus is to evolve things, to make them function better, quicker, faster, and bring in a tad of mad scientist type of energy. Another thing here that is showing up very, very strongly. This is a chart casted for the Los Angeles area in the USA, California, USA. We have Mercury right on the midheaven. So that's also bringing in matters of like the internet, communication, speech, sales, networking, and the education system, especially K to 12 system. Thus emphasizing that there's going to be more innovation taking place and perfecting the systems that are in place currently so they can work and function easier. Now, going back to the sun and the moon, a solar eclipse is a new moon. That's literally what it is. And in order for it to be an eclipse, it needs to be no more than 17 degrees away from the north node or the south node, depending on, wherever the solar eclipse falls on that axis. Now, this is at 10 degrees and the north node is at 22 degrees. So this is why this is a partial eclipse, meaning that only partially will the sun be covered by the moon's shadow. So partial eclipses are different. Not all eclipses are made the same. It's still a solar eclipse. It is still a very strong eclipse, and solar eclipses tend to be stronger, and north node solar eclipses are destiny. They bring in evolution and change, and they're supposed to be a little bit more positive. We feel them more outwardly. We kind of catapult sometimes without wanting to. So it does bring a zest of energy in which you didn't plan for it and it just happened. It might seem like it's destroying your norm, but then at the end you come out like a butterfly. So there is a type of transformational process tied into those new moon solar north node eclipses versus the south node is going to have flavor of letting go. I do have a mythology about the south and the north node, Rahu and Ketu. You guys could check that out. I have it in my IG and also on my YouTube channel. I really like understanding the mythology of these points so you can kind of get some perspective on what they represent in the chart. So with that said, because this is a partial eclipse, it's still bringing in faded events. It's still going to bring a big punch, but it's not as strong as a complete eclipse or a annual eclipse, right? Because the sun is still shedding some light. Now, the rule of thumb with eclipses in astrology is depending on where this eclipse falls on Earth, where it's visible on Earth, meaning what continent or location can see the eclipse, because not all eclipses are visible wherever you're located. That is the area that is going to feel the eclipse's energy the most changes, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the world doesn't feel it. It's just more impactful in that area, it kind of impacts more of the mundane things in that area. So this eclipse is falling in the middle of the ocean, and it's South America, between Antarctica and South America. So it is going to be visible in the majority of South America and also part of Antarctica. So this leads me to analyze the eclipse in this fashion. Now, in November, we had a lunar eclipse, and shortly after, we started seeing news in the media about glaciers in Antarctica melting. Well, that's still going to be the same theme with this eclipse, but this is going to be a little bit more interesting, because what I'm predicting is, with these glaciers melting, we're not just going to find different species of animals and maybe different bacteria and things like that. We're also going to find frozen civilizations. We're going to find artifacts and things that were buried under, deep layers of ice for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, and now they're being melted. So there's going to be global changes in regard to that. It's already been predicted that Uranus is going to bring these changes in weather, and the promise is there. In addition to other things that Uranus and Taurus should be and is doing, is revolutionizing the agricultural systems. And Brazil is in South America, and it's one of the nations in which imports, exports a lot of their livestock, especially agriculture. So both Taurus rules agriculture and livestock. So we're going to see some changes in regard to that. Now, that can benefit more of the business owner versus the people, because we have Venus that's exalted in Pisces with Jupiter, and those are both of the benefics kind of combining their energy, and someone's making big money, and it's usually going to cost others money, right? When someone makes big money, they have to pay that big money. So there's going to be an increase, like a very, very high, steep increase in these goods because of everything else, because of the economy being inflated. So Venus is also ruling Uranus, the sun, and the moon, and Venus is exalted. It's conjunct with Jupiter. So it's not just going to impact one market. Jupiter is global markets. Jupiter rules the energy of Sagittarius and Pisces, and he's in Pisces. And in Pisces, he has rulership of the majority of the water. And in the energy of Sagittarius, he rules foreign lands. So this is talking about everyone feeling these changes with import, export goods and things like that. And it's going to trickle down to the people. Another thing that I noticed here is Mars is at 11 degrees, and it's forming a separating sextile to the sun and the moon, but forming an applying sextile to Uranus. So Mars is bringing a punch of energy, enthusiasm, go-getting. It is in a sign that is not its typical nature. It's in Pisces. However, Mars is pretty neutral in Pisces. Mars is the friend of Jupiter, and actually Jupiter, Zeus, is Mars's father. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He is able to express an aspect of himself in the energy of Pisces, because Pisces is very spiritual, and Mars also rules Scorpio, and Scorpio's the other water sign that tends to dive deep into psychic abilities and the occult and mysteries of the world, esoteric. So in Pisces, Mars does get to do some of that, but it's more on a ethereal level versus on a very deep and powerful get to the bottom of things level. Like in Pisces, he sees that it's like an ever ending dive and he just, like those endless pools, he just keeps on swimming and going with it. So he is fueling some of this. Now he's going to trigger the Jupiter And Neptune conjunction, when he reaches 24 degrees, Neptune is there. He's not there during the eclipse, but this is going to also kind of ripple affect the eclipse and the Neptune Jupiter conjunction. Then he ends up rippling the eclipse again because he's going to conjunct 27 degrees, and he's going to activate the Jupiter and Venus conjunction that happened during this eclipse. So we need to watch what Mars is doing, because Mars is doing some stuff that he's kind of acting a little slick and, you know, seeming like he's not really doing anything, but yes, he is doing some work. Now, Mars is the natural ruler of the South Node. He's the original ruler, and we have Pluto that co-rules Scorpio. So Mars is also aspecting positively to the South Node via a trine, and Pluto's aspecting the South Node via a sextile. So both the rulers of the South Node are ready to transform and release and let go of things. They are going through that crystallization process of becoming a new person, of really owning their journey of healing, their journey of empowerment. That's really what these planets are doing. And Pluto recently went retro. He's stationed retro during this time. So Pluto is internalizing the lessons. Now we're going within and we're seeing if we really did learn our lessons. What is it that we learned during this time that we were changing and evolving and reflecting? That's really when we do the real change, is when we reflect back and see, yes, you know what? I'm not tolerating this, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not participating in this anymore, you know, so on and so forth. So you really solidify those lessons and you say that's enough and move on. Now, the tough thing here is Saturn. So Saturn is at 24 degrees and Saturn is squaring the nodes. So it is separating, but Saturn is squaring the nodes, and Saturn brings in anchoring. So Saturn in Aquarius is anchoring all of this, and the release, or the valve of release, is actually the energy of Leo, because that is the opposite sign of this T-square. It's not exactly to the degree, but it's still a T-square with an orb. And the release is going to be the Leo house that you have in your chart. That is where you can release some of that tension of responsibility, of crystallization, of heavy duty day-to-day tasks that seem so mundane and boring and tiring and just weighing on you, right? But remember, Saturn brings the greatest gifts, because through facing the things that we find very hard in our life, we see that we mature and we grow and we evolve, and there's lessons around that. So on a mundane level, Saturn is making sure that we are solidifying systems, that we are solidifying things in our life, that we're working, that we're consciously aware. And Saturn in Aquarius talks about humanity. How are you consciously aware? How are you improving your life that then impacts the rest of the world? So it's about healing on a energetic level, on a ethereal level. Vesta is also conjunct Saturn, and she's the asteroid of the sacred fire in the home. So this is like the spiritual altar. This is where you go and pray. This is your sacred sanctuary. It's what you call home. And she's also squaring the nodes. So this is awakening people to really find true meaning in what they consider the purpose, the spiritual purpose in their life, because we already have spiritual topics with all the energy of Pisces. Lastly, there's Juno in Pisces at 3 degrees, and she is talking about joining and being devoted to a partner, committing unconditionally, loving and trusting in fairy tale love. Overall, this eclipse seems very promising. We have both the ruler of Taurus and Pisces together. That's water and earth, manifesting our dreams. Now, I do not recommend setting intentions. This is energy that the universe has your back, and all you need to do is believe that the universe has your back. And with that, happy eclipse. I will catch you on IG Live where I go through the zodiac sign predictions for this new moon in Taurus. Love and light, beautiful people.